I just looked at the whole rundown of the states that are coming up for both sides, of course, obviously. They're all voting in the same states in the primaries on the Democratic and Republican side. But I'm concentrating on the Democratic side today, Bernie Sanders versus Hillary Clinton. A recent poll just came out saying Bernie Sanders has pretty much caught Hillary Clinton 43-42 in favor of Hillary Clinton in Nevada. That's within the margin of error of the poll, pretty much a tie. Now, Bernie Sanders does a little bit better so far. I mean, we only had one caucus state in Iowa. He did better than expected there, but we can't tell if it's because it's a caucus or he just simply does better than the polling, because he did better than the polling in both Iowa and New Hampshire. So if either one of those things were to hold, it's a good chance that Bernie Sanders would win in Nevada, but if so, with a tiny margin. So it's basically a tie. It'll probably, even if Bernie Sanders was by 1, 2, 3, it's close to a tie. But people will paint that as he's got momentum, and they'd be right to, because he was way behind in Nevada, has caught all the way up. And same is true of Hillary Clinton. If she wins by 1 or 2 points, I'm sure the media will say she won a crushing victory.
Firewall.
Right, but in reality, she'll have lost well over a 20-point lead and result in a tie. Okay, so what happens afterwards is interesting. So she has too big a lead in South Carolina. I would be shocked if Bernie Sanders won South Carolina. If he wins South Carolina, then the race is pretty much over. Okay, because that means he's going to win everywhere. There is no firewall. There is no Latinos or non-liberal voters or African-American voters that are going to come to Hillary Clinton's rescue. Nobody's going to come to her rescue. But that is very unlikely to happen. She's likely to win in South Carolina, and by a solid margin, okay?
Like 10 to 15,
because she's too far out ahead with not enough time. Okay, now, that's my analysis of it. We'll see, obviously, how it turns out. But then we go to Super Tuesday, and as I looked at the Super Tuesday states, I've got that as a tie. Okay, there's a bunch of southern states there, Hillary Clinton more likely to win. But Massachusetts is in there, which Bernie Sanders is very likely to win. There are also a number of more northeastern states in there as well.
Vermont, he's up by like 50 points or something like that.
And so that's right. 38 points he's up in Vermont. And he's got some Midwestern states there as well. And he might even have a chance at Oklahoma. He's got caucuses in Minnesota and Colorado. So those half of that equation leans towards Bernie Sanders. So Super Tuesday's likely to be called a tie, even if Bernie Sanders walks out with more delegates, because those are larger states than the southern states that Hillary Clinton is more likely to win. Okay, which then means that the election is very likely to be decided on the Democratic side on March 15th. So now beware the Ides of March. It can go either way, right? So on March 8th, you got Michigan. So if Bernie Sanders wins in that Midwestern state, well, then he's going to have some momentum going into March 15th elections. But of course, the reverse can also happen. But the main one is March 15th. You've got Florida, Ohio, Illinois, North Carolina, and Missouri all voting on the same day. All very big states. Some that Hillary Clinton has decent leads in now. Actually, most of those she has a decent lead in now. But all those leads have been shrinking.
Yeah.
Now, if Bernie Sanders is able to gather more momentum, and even a tie on Super Tuesday would be considered momentum for Bernie Sanders, well, then your election probably gets settled on March 15th. Because, and here's how it'll work. If Hillary Clinton wins a victory on Super Tuesday, even if it's close, she can still put him away on the 15th by winning Florida, Ohio, Illinois. Those are big, big states to win and have momentum going into the latter states, New York, California, etc.
Although, again, proportional for the delegates. So even a win doesn't mean you get 150 delegates.
That's right. You're going to keep on going, but then she'd have a big advantage, and then the momentum of Bernie Sanders will have petered out, etc. Bernie Sanders wins, well, then it's pretty much over, because that means he has so much momentum. He has overcome every firewall. He's got more delegates, and he's heading into the latter states on a wave, right? But even if it's a tie, again, they split some of those states, Bernie Sanders will have enough momentum to then win New York and California. Okay,
California's a long way away.
California's the last state. California, obviously, the largest state, and it could go all the way to California. California could decide it. Right now, Hillary Clinton still has a sizable lead in California. But if Bernie Sanders has survived all of this and has tied or won March 15th, then the momentum will clearly, in my opinion, the tide will change. I know ties go in and ties go out, and you can't explain that, but I think I can. Okay, at that point, the tide will carry him to a win in California, and he'll be the nominee.
Yeah.
So March 15th,
right.
that is the date, I think, when this thing gets decided.
I feel like even if we're talking about this in April or May, you're going to say that it was still decided then, even though we're still going on. But I think I think we're definitely still going to be going. Oh, okay.
I am saying that. I'm saying
I
you
was
go all the
looking
way
at
to
that same
California.
list.
I've just said that 3 times.
That's
right?
true.
But I'm saying that it gets decided which way it's going to go on March 15th.
That's possible. I was looking at that list, and it was amazing how the clumps worked out. That on this day, he has leads in 12 states. Then the next day, she has leads in 12 states. But I still am working from the assumption that he is going to outperform the polls in all of these. And that generally, on the state level, when polls have changed, they've changed towards Bernie. He doesn't, like his progress doesn't just evaporate in a state, or at least we haven't seen it yet. And so there is some scary stuff if you look at some of these states, but I think that some of these states haven't really been paying attention yet. I think that things are looking good for him. I don't know about March 15th. I think it's going to be a tense night here at TYT, both on Super Tuesday and on March 15th. I don't know. I think that either way, we will definitely be in this for a while.
And so, by the way, John is not saying that because he supports Bernie Sanders, but Bernie Sanders has outperformed his polling in the 2 contests we've had so far, so he's got very good evidence to that effect. And he's right. And this is a very interesting fact that I haven't heard anybody else point out until John just did. Hillary Clinton has not gained in the polling anywhere since Bernie Sanders started catching up. So it's not like, oh, it's swinging back and forth and Bernie Sanders cut into her lead, but then she made her lead larger. No, nowhere has she made her lead larger. All she has done is, in some places where there haven't been a lot of polling, she might have stopped the bleeding, but that at this point is not clear at all. So far, it's been pretty much nothing but Bernie Sanders surging. So given that momentum, doesn't mean it's going to overcome these leads, because she does have sizable leads in some of these states. The momentum is definitely going in one direction so far. And finally, to give you a sense of perspective, Clinton at this point leads New York by only 7 points. Now that is a very doable margin, very overcomable, especially given all the other media that's going to happen before New York. Yes, she was the senator from New York, but she was running as a Republican, not against Bernie Sanders. And New York is a very liberal state. California, she has a 14-point lead. Now that's a much bigger lead. If Bernie Sanders had a 14-point lead in California, this race would be already over because he's the one with momentum.